Hey there, happy Sagittarius season. This is your reading for your sun, moon, and rising sign placements between November 22nd and December 21st in 2025. Welcome back to Embodied Astrology. My name is Renee. If we have not met before, thanks so much for tuning in with the channel. Just a quick announcement before I get to your season ahead. My 2026 year ahead readings are now on sale. These annual readings provide in-depth insight and embodied integration to help you make the most of the opportunities and work skillfully with the challenges of the upcoming year's most important transits, retrogrades, and eclipses. And for the astro lovers in your life, these readings also make excellent gifts. And if you've been interested in getting a personal reading from me, now is your chance. Or you might be interested in getting a reading with one of my amazing students, who I will say are also quickly becoming my teachers because they are truly brilliant. And we've organized a raffle through Sagittarius and Capricorn season to raise funds for one of our beloved Jamaican colleagues at Embodied Astrology, whose family and community were intensely impacted by Hurricane Melissa. So throughout this month and next, you can enter the raffle by donating directly to one of the fundraisers we're supporting and sending us your donation receipt. This is an exciting reading raffle. We have super skilled, highly intuitive, intelligent, insightful, funny, kind, compassionate astrologers and tarot readers who have so much to offer. And whether or not you win a reading, your donation will mean so much to folks who've lost so much. So please consider entering. You can find all the information you need to enter the raffle or get your 2026 year ahead reading in the show notes below. Okay, so let's get into your reading, and definitely make sure to stick around after the reading because I have a few more things to tell you about how you can get involved with me or with Embodied Astrology. Hello Libra, welcome back to Embodied Astrology. This is your Sagittarius season journey. We are going to take a journey this season. This is a little bit of a different style of reading that I'm going to offer for you in Sagittarius season. I often just give intuitive forecasts for the season ahead. This season, because we are working with so many retrograde influences, and because we're working with Sagittarius as an energy, I want to offer to you an opportunity to be your own oracle, to do your own divination. And I'm going to hold a container for you to do that through some reflective journaling and contemplation, and then working with your own transits a little bit and working with your own hermetic wisdom to take you into the time ahead. So make some space for this if you can. A lot of people listen to horoscopes while they are multitasking. You can definitely do that and just see how it feels to you to hear it all. But if you can make some space, give yourself half an hour to an hour to actually write things down and be with the questions I'm going to ask you, I think that you will get a lot from that you might not get otherwise. Okay, so you're going to want a pen and paper and some kind of comfortable place to be. And I'm going to give you a little bit of astro info before we start. But once we start, you'll want also, just some quiet or some space around you to just be with this meditation. So the astro info is that we start Sagittarius season, and right away we are working with two planets stationing direct. Mercury is stationing direct on the 29th, which is about a week after Sag season begins, and Saturn is stationing direct 3 days before that on the 26th. Now, Saturn is a slow-moving planet, and it has been hanging out at its station degree for a while. And Mercury, as it's stationing direct, is in aspect to Saturn, and also in aspect to Jupiter in Cancer, which has just recently also stationed retrograde. So there's this grand water trine really pulling a lot of intensity into the charts. And this is what I talked to you about in your Scorpio season reading. So if you haven't listened to that yet, or you haven't listened recently, you might want to pause and go back and listen to that reading, see what pings for you, and then bring it back to this journey that we're about to take. But this water trine is really activating the earthly places in the chart, even though it's water energy. In the Libra charts, it's activating the 2nd, 6th, and 10th houses. And these are places that have a lot to do with material realities. Your money, your finances, your resources, your possessions, your jobs, your responsibilities, your health and well-being, and kind of your day-to-day mundane experience. And then the big picture of your life, your vocation, your career, your public image, who you are in the world and what you're doing in the world, etc. So these are all areas of your life that are deeply energized right now. And throughout Sagittarius season, they will be kind of resonating in their frequency and intensity as Saturn stations direct, as Mercury stations direct. Then later on in the season, December 11th, Neptune is stationing direct at the very last degree of Pisces. And then Mercury will finish its retrograde shadow right before the Sagittarius new moon on the 19th. So I want to work with these retrograde cycles for you. They're very significant, and we're particularly going to tune in with Saturn and Neptune because they are both stationing direct this season. Saturn has been in Pisces since 2023. Neptune has been there since 2011. Both of them are stationing direct now for the last time in these transits through Pisces, and they won't be back for a long time. Maybe this is the last time we're going to experience them in Pisces. That's certainly true for Neptune. Neptune won't be back to this part of the chart for another 160 or so years. Saturn won't be back here for another 30 years. So these are pretty big and important life chapters to contemplate. And we're going to use Mercury's retrograde, recent retrograde, also as a little bit of a messenger to help us integrate those energies. Okay, Libra. So get comfortable, get your pen, get your paper, make your space. I'm going to go through various prompts with you. After each prompt, I'm going to tell you to pause the recording for as long as you need so that you can write down your notes, and please do that. And then when you're ready, just press play again and we will pick up where we left off. Okay? Okay, hold on. I have to take a sip of my tea. All right, Libra. Let's start off just breathing. If you're relaxing somewhere, lean back, close your eyes if it's comfortable. Take some deep breaths in and long exhales out. Relax your body and mind as much as they are able to relax. And start to tune in with your awareness to the space behind you. And let your awareness especially start to move into the space behind your head. We're going to look for some activation through the felt sense of the pineal gland. This is the place that Pisces governs energetically. This is the gland of dreaming and liminal states. So as you breathe, imagine that you can breathe into the back part of your skull and brain. And you might imagine all the space behind and above your head opening up. And in the opening that's there is a portal into memories and the past. And we are going to open up into that space and reach back to the year 2011. So as you hear those sounds, 2011, see the numbers in your mind, 2011. What were you doing in the year 2011? Can you remember where you were, what you were focused on, how you were feeling, what had your attention? So this part of your chart is associated with the day-to-day and the functionality of the day-to-day. And so certain things that you might particularly want to scan for memory have to do with your health and general sense of well-being. That includes your mind, body, spirit, relationships, your jobs, your occupations and pastimes, your responsibilities, duties, chores? How are you keeping it all together, or are you in 2011? And as you reflect back to 2011, I also want to ask you, how were you imagining at that time that your life might look in the future? What were you conceiving of at that time when you think about what was the dream of your life? And this was the practical dream of your life. What were you trying to make happen? And another side of that question might be, how was the dream of your life at that time? Life can definitely feel like a dream sometimes. And so what kind of dream was your life dreaming in 2011? Did it feel that you were able at that point or since that point to manifest dreams that you've had of your life? Maybe some dreams have felt impossible to grasp, or that they fell away. Okay. So reflecting back to 2011 and the time since, thinking about your general state of awareness, your body, your well-being, your day-to-day landscape of your life, and the way that all the pieces of your life are being held together very practically, and what you are doing to hold them all together, the ways that you are working. And the last question I'll ask you, Libra, is kind of adjacent to this life dream question, but there's really a feeling here of, what are you longing for? What are you longing to be in service to in 2011 and since? Okay, so there's a lot to go on an exploration with there. Please pause the recording and take as much time as you need to journal and reflect. All right, Libra, so now let's continue to guide our awareness into the past, but let's pull the past a little closer and move out of the realms of 2011 into just a few years ago. Let's remember back to 2023. This is when Saturn entered Pisces. So 2023, can you imagine the time? Where were you? What were you doing? What did it feel like in your life? Now, in 2023 and since 2023, how has the dream of your life been challenged? How has it been challenged to change, to take shape in more concrete ways, to mature, to deepen? How has the dream of your life been challenged in ways that taught you about what you actually wanted? Since 2023, what have you really been concentrated on and focused with and working towards? And since 2023, how have your limitations and boundaries been revealed to you? And what have they had to do with how you've been shaping your day-to-day life and experiencing the dream of your life and all that it includes, especially your health, your well-being, your functionality, your jobs, your chores, and what you are in service to? All right, so when you're ready, pause the recording and reflect for a little bit on Saturn's presence since 2023. The challenges, the growth, the maturation, the restrictions, the limitations, the feeling of responsibilities. What has been your greatest challenge and your greatest growth in the last 2.5 years or so? All right, Libra, welcome back from the past. Just take a moment wherever you are and stretch your body a little bit, wiggle, breathe, maybe look around your space. You just reflected pretty far back into the past. And now we are going to shift and reflect into our imagined future. So when you're ready, once again, relax, get comfortable, deepen your breath, and now start to breathe into the space in front of you. Feel your belly and your chest rise and open with your breath. Feel your face and your hands. Feel the space in front and around you. Now I want to invite you to imagine into the hypothetical future. And we are going to imagine the duration of Neptune's transit through Aries, through your opposite sign, which will begin for real in February of 2026 and will last until the year 2038. That's a long time. So imagine 2038, see the numbers 2038. What do you imagine the world will look like? Lots of possibilities. I'm going to encourage us to imagine best possible outcomes. And in your imagined future in 2038, I want to invite you to open up your awareness to the realm of your relationships. What does it feel like to be you in 2038 with others? Now, some of you might be thinking, I don't even know if I'm going to be around in 2038, which, fair. None of us know, and any of us could go at any time. So holding that as a possibility, you can also imagine the relationships that continue towards you, with you, even after you're gone. And this has something to do with the kind of person you have been and what your presence in your life has meant for the people who have been touched by your life. But if you think there's a possibility that you might still be here in 2038, Libra, let's go with you being here. And what do your relationships look like in 2038? What is the dream that you have? And in these relationships, let's specifically really feel into the important one-on-one dynamics. And this can include partners and lovers, but this can also include friends and collaborators. And it can even include people who you might feel some kind of animosity towards or competition with, or even, outright disagreement or conflict. In the best possible circumstances and scenarios that you can imagine that are also possible, right? Best possible. What do your relationships feel like in 2038? So pause the recording, take as much time as you need, and write down a dream, a waking dream, of the landscape of your relationships in 2038. And think about best possible scenarios, best possible outcomes. All right, Libra. So welcome back from the future. 2038 is a long time from now. Let's pull our awareness of time in, making the container a little smaller. And now let's just kind of feel out to the next 2.5 or 3 years or so. We'll sense forward into the time of Saturn's transit through your opposite sign, Aries. Now, Saturn will be in Aries until 2028, beginning in 2026. 2028 feels like an arm's reach compared to the far-off horizon of 2038. So as you feel the waves and ripples of the dreams that you have for 2038, I invite you now to think about the practical, concrete steps towards making your dreams a reality that will happen between 2025 and 2028. In the next 2.5 years or so, for your dreams to manifest to what they might be in 2038, you are going to need to take some concrete actions. You're going to be making some decisions. You need to clarify your intent. You need to get grounded about your commitments. You need to be honest and real. And you need to be prepared for challenges. You might be challenged to grow and mature in order to be ready to receive the dream of 2038. So this next reflection prompt for the next 2.5 years has to do with the ways that you are dreaming forward into challenge and maturation and growth. What are some of the obstacles that you can imagine coming up for you? What are some of the doubts and worries and fears that you know you'll need to work with? And what are some of the deeper commitments that you already know you have that in the next 2.5 years require some labor and investment? Take as much time as you need, pause the recording, and when you're ready, come back. Libra, welcome back to the present moment. Go ahead and stretch, breathe, wiggle. You just journeyed into the future, and before that, you journeyed into the past. Let's bring ourselves very much right now into the present, into the here and now. So in whatever way makes sense for you, just come into your body, come into your present moment awareness, and remind yourself who you are and where you are in time and space. And in this last reflection prompt, we'll work a little bit with Mercury's retrograde cycle. And here, I just want to ask you to pay attention to what feels present in your current moment of learning and awareness. I want to ask you what you have been learning right now in the last few weeks, the last couple days, maybe just the last few hours. What have you been learning about your communication and your values and your desires? And consider where you are right now, and consider how much has changed since 2011, how much has changed since 2023, and all that you have worked through and processed and learned about and grown with. You are not the same person as you used to be. And then consider who you are right now and the dream of your relationship landscape in the next 13 years. And the awareness that you have of some of the work that might be required in the next 2 to 3 years. And from where you are right now, feeling how you feel in this time, in this space, I want you to imagine what kinds of messages you will need the most in the next 6 months or so. So not even the next 2.5 years, just the next 6 months or so. What kinds of messages, affirmations, reminders, little notes to yourself, questions that you want to ask yourself, what do you need in the next 6 months or so to remember about these dreams? Dreams of the past, dreams of the future, dreams of where you are now. So my last prompt to you is to be your own oracle, to call upon this moment of mercurial, betwixt and between the times, remembering and imagining the past and the future. Call upon the part of you that traverses timelines, that really holds a lot of wisdom and curiosity, and that also has a kind of sense or feeling about what you're really going to need in the next 6 months or so in order to do the work that you need to do in the next 2.5 years to meet the challenges, to deepen the commitments, etc., and in order to move into the dream of the next 13 years. What are the messages, affirmations, mantras, reminders, and questions that you want to write down to work with in these next 6 months. Okay, so I'm going to suggest that you take all the time that you need and pause the recording and write these down, and that you keep working with them over the next 6 months, but that you work with them daily. And that means handwrite them, put them on Post-it notes, write them in your journal, put them in your phone reminders, tape them to your mirrors and your dashboards and your walls, etc. Okay, so pause the recording, take as much time as you need, write down your notes, affirmations, reminders, questions, lists. Okay, Libra. So we have just taken a journey. You have taken a journey. You have traveled into the past, into the future, and very deeply into the present. And over these next 6 months or so, I hope that you have received some great advice from your inner oracle, and that you will continue to work with this advice and allow it to continue to adapt and change. Work with these timelines in ways that make sense for you and continue to contemplate them, definitely throughout Sagittarius season, but even through Gemini season of next year, because that is about as long as it takes for these planetary cycles to fully get into their next chapter. Now, I want to leave you with 2 little timing notes for Sagittarius season. And these have to do with a full and the new moons. We have a full moon on December 4th in your fellow air sign, Gemini, and a new moon on December 19th in Sagittarius. Now, both of these lunations for Libra are important when it comes to communication as well as intuition. The full moon on December 4th in Gemini is a full moon that is really asking you to pay attention and tune in with your intuition. This is a full moon that needs you listening deeply through your body, not just your mind. Listen back to your Scorpio season reading. I talked a lot to you about the importance of feeling your feelings, and I'm going to say that this full moon really needs you to feel your feelings. When you can be in your body and include your feelings, then you have big insights and mental breakthroughs. If you cannot be in your body and cannot be with your feelings, your mind is untethered and cannot access its best discernment. And so the things that might be coming in and moving around your mind may not be as helpful as they could be. But this is a full moon that could be extremely helpful, especially when it comes to figuring out practical things, especially when it comes to figuring out things about your health, your well-being, your body, your resources, your time, your energy, and your next steps. Now, the the new moon on December 19th in Sagittarius happens just a couple of days before we get into Capricorn season. And this new moon definitely is bringing up some important lessons for you when it comes to communication, is my feeling. It also is bringing up some themes that feel to me like they have a lot to do with mental fortitude and your own commitment and perseverance and focus. This is a period of time that is ripe for change, but hard to change, especially when we are trying to change towards what is unknown, and what is known has some degree of comfort or beneficial kind of perks in it, right? Like, you really want a new job, but wow, you already know this old job and you can do it just fine, even if you don't like it. They're also going to give you a 50-cent raise. It's things like that, where you're like, oh, I could just stay. And it could be like, okay, I guess I'll just do that. But actually, there's something that you really want a lot more, but you're scared and you don't know how to do it, and you're tired and you don't know how to do it. It's the time to do it, Libra. It's the time to do it. That's my feeling. It's the time to do it. So this is the time that you need your messages. And at the full moon in Gemini, you need your messages. Like, you need these messages, because I know that what you wrote to yourself gives you the support that you need to stay in your body and to feel your feelings at the full moon. And it gives you the support that you need to do the new thing at the new moon. That's my hope. That's my prayer. That's my wish. Let me know. How did you do with that journey, Libra? Did you get any good messages, any guidance come through? I'm going to leave this one here. I'll be back in Capricorn season with a different kind of reading. I hope that you enjoyed this journey, Libra. I hope that whatever you received, that it will truly be beneficial for you in the 6 months, 2.5 years, 13 years, and longer to come. And I look forward to seeing you next month. So until then, take care. I'm wishing you all the best. Bye for now. I hope you enjoyed your Sagittarius season reading. Thank you so much for listening. If you're still here and you enjoyed your reading so much that you want to play around with embodied astrology with me, I hope you can join me sometime for my weekly virtual class, Somatic Space. You can catch me live on Zoom every Monday, where we tune in with the lunar cycle, solar season, and transits for the week ahead, and work with gentle mind, heart, body practices that prepare us to meet what's coming with skill and style. And you can always get the recording if you can't attend live. There's also so much more going on at Embodied Astrology, including our weekly chart reading study groups, which are amazing, nurturing spaces where you can learn about your chart and how to read charts for others through relationship and conversation. We also offer seasonal workshops timed to support you with current astrology. Our next upcoming workshop is in Capricorn season on January 3rd's Cancer full moon, and it's called Care is in Your Hands with Daniel Addy. I'm really excited for this workshop, and I think it's going to be very on time, as the astrology at that point is really encouraging us to care deeply for our inner worlds and take care of our structural support. Daniel is a longtime astrology lover and astrologer, as well as a fantastic body worker and massage therapist, and someone who I've been working with now for almost 5 years, and who has helped me so much in my personal healing path. Daniel is a Capricorn, and you might know that Capricorn's energy has a lot to do with our bones, skeletons, and postures. In this full moon workshop, Daniel will be teaching accessible self-massage practices that we can use throughout the year to tend to the parts and places in our bodies that are most prone to postural stress and pain. All of our offerings at Embodied Astrology are always sliding scale, with additional scholarships provided for those experiencing financial difficulties. So there's no excuse really to miss this workshop. Your back, your shoulders, your hips, and your neck, and maybe your friends' bodies will all thank you. So once again, find everything you need to connect with me and learn more about Embodied Astrology's offerings in the show notes or at embodiedastrology.com. All right, friends, thank you so much for being here. I am wishing you all the best in your Sagittarius season journeys. Bye for now.